greatest day of my life.
Il a réalisé son plus grand rêve. Moi, j'en reviens toujours pas, tu vois.
C'est le départ de quelque chose d'incroyable, ça c'est sûr.
Don't know yet. Hasn't sunk in.
Ce matin, je me suis levé, je me suis dit, il va faire un gros truc aujourd'hui.
It's time to fly.
Nous voilà à Nice, Benoît. I mean, our life has changed since that second place in Kona last year.
Well done, Sam! 45-second lead, 45-second lead, 45-second lead. Go on! Come on, brilliant! Well done, you got this, amazing, come on!
Obviously, it was sort of a dream come true when Sam crossed over the finish line in second place. Straight away, it was sort of, straight away it was euphoric.
I think the first feeling was probably relief. It's been many, many years of work, many years of doubts, and yeah, to have a performance like that on the stage where I wanted to was special.
J'étais monté à Font-Romeu là pour voir des amis. C'était nos points de rencontre, on ne se voyait pas souvent et là je l'ai rencontré et au moment de partir, on s'est regardé et j'ai lu dans ses yeux, j'ai lu au fond de lui-même, d'ailleurs lui aussi, et, parce qu'on en a reparlé. Et je savais qu'il allait gagner. D'ailleurs quand je suis parti, j'ai appelé Thomas, j'ai dit il gagne Hawaï. J'avais le sentiment qu'il allait gagner à Hawaï. Bon, c'était un coup pour rien parce qu'il a fait deuxième et il a gagné à Nice championne du monde. Mais j'étais persuadé, je l'ai lu. Je sais pas, c'est un moment rare.
I was at my house with the sort of live stream, getting text updates from Richard, watching the race at the same time, and just thinking this is mad. And literally just watching it. The bike, we know he's an absolute monster. I mean, even when I was here riding as a cyclist, going out with Sam for rides, it was like, geez. And you know, he was so young. But the run part, I think we could always call it his weakness. And to see him at Kona up to the last 7K in the lead. So, I mean, I was at home. There's my son, who's also called Sam, so we'll call him Mini Sam. So Mini Sam watching, you know, he's four now, just watching it, so he'd have been 3 back then. And like, he could actually do this. It was awesome.
I think because I just absorbed it, it was kind of almost like an implosion, because I think, you know, years and years and years and years of knowing that that's his dream.
I called my mum and I think the first thing I said was, it's okay now, I can die happy, you know. And yeah, it's a funny thing to say, you know, as a 23-year-old telling that to your mum, but that's how I felt at that moment. Yeah, although I do always want more and want to win equally, like, I haven't done badly, you know. If tomorrow I was to have an accident and not be able to do the sport, it's been cool, you know, and I got to where I could, and I've tried my best.
I think already when I saw him come through the crowds at the end, I could see how emotional he was getting, and then I guess you kind of almost live as his mum. You kind of live that emotion with him. So I didn't cry, but I was kind of, I was almost seeing it, I think, through his eyes almost, yeah.
Nous, quand on le voit à la télé, quand il avait fait deuxième, je me rappelle avec Michel, limite on s'était engueulé parce que je dis mais j'y crois pas moi, c'est pas possible. Enfin, c'est un gamin quoi, je veux dire, il avait 22 ans ou 23 ans à l'époque, il fait ça. Enfin, je veux dire, ce mec-là, il nous fait passer des émotions. On est encore étonnés quoi. Enfin, nous on l'a connu, on était à l'internat ensemble. Enfin, on s'est jamais dit s'est jamais dit ça, quoi. Mais maintenant qu'il l'a fait, bon ben, on est content, quoi. On est content, on est admiratif et on a envie que ça continue encore plus, quoi.
Je pense que voilà, quand il dit je sais, c'est qu'il sait. C'est pas un bluffeur. Et je me rappelle la veille d'Hawaï, je rentrais dans le parc à vélo et il me dit tu vas voir demain. Bon, on a vu le lendemain.
On en a eu des frissons sur toute la journée puisqu'on a suivi la course en direct et il ne s'est pas dégonflé face aux grosses écuries, on dira. Il a un potentiel et ce potentiel, il a réussi à l'exploiter grâce à ce cap qu'il a passé psychologiquement. C'était vraiment la partie qui, à mon avis, lui permettait pas de passer le cap qu'il a pu passer ces dernières années, en fait. Voilà.
It's what we've been working for to come into his first ever Kona and come across in sort of second position. Yeah, I was obviously thinking, right, okay, where could we have, why didn't he win? Where did we go wrong for not his actual win, which was quite a relatively easy solution. There's only a small thing when you're at that level, and it comes down to a lot of the time as luck. And it's the same with the race, any race you go into, look that everything falls your way. You can't plan things outside of your own, outside of yourself. If something comes across the path, you have to deal with it there and then. And obviously with Sam in the swim, for us, the swim should have been better, could have been better. I put my hands up straight away. That was my fault. It was my tactics that made it that way. But that's what triathlon's about. It's about learning.
I see him like as a raw diamond, you know, like where he needs to get some treatment. I knew him, but people maybe didn't really know him, you know, the Lionel Sanders and stuff, never heard of him. And then I followed him closely, of course, and Sebi also told me that like this guy is the real deal, you know, and he has some talent.
After Kona, I had 5 managers who kind of came towards me, and it's very difficult when you have success. Everybody is suddenly very nice to you, and all the opportunities seem great. But yeah, Ronnie, I think I was at the award ceremony actually. I was with Sebi and Ronnie was next to him, and I just knew Ronnie as an athlete for having come 4th in Kona, won Ironman Switzerland I don't know how many times, and so I didn't realise he was a manager, and I only made the link afterwards that he was Sebi's manager. And so it was just my gut instinct, and actually in hindsight he was the only manager that didn't come towards me. It was just a very natural process, and I trusted him. And yeah, I think that's more important than anything.
And we had a few beers. That's always good, a good start, you know, where you feel like, oh yeah, you kind of feel akin, you know, like connected. And that's how it started. And Sam said like, yeah, why not? There is a lot of interest at the moment. And then I said, yeah, I understand, but I think I can help you, and I would like to help you. And in the end, this is always, it needs to be good on a personal level as well. And I think somehow we got along well, and you know, we started working together.
I haven't closed the garage, Richard, so you know.
So I did my first triathlon when I was 4 years old, and here we are 20 years later. Still doing the same thing, just at a much bigger scale.
So we put him into the children's race at 4.5. He was underage, he should have been 6. So we managed to allow them to do the race with me, sort of following Sam. However it turned out, I was actually security for all the other children and not for Sam.
Honestly, I think a lot of people think we maybe pushed him into triathlon, but I honestly don't think that's the case. It was just a really organic, natural process.
Ils étaient une dizaine, ils étaient exceptionnels. Et on a passé des moments fantastiques. C'était des enfants, c'était du jeu. C'était du jeu, il y avait des filles, il y avait des garçons. Il me rappelait encore qu'il y avait des filles qui le battaient à pied. Et puis bon, il y avait une super ambiance, c'était un groupe exceptionnel.
I mean, Sam got into triathlon, I think, because it was just part of our life. I come from a swimming background. I gave up swimming and took up triathlon. But at the same time, I was a physical training instructor in the Royal Air Force, which obviously was very sports orientated.
A family spearheaded the success of Garstang Lifesaving Club in the annual Lancashire Junior competition at Blackpool last Friday. Mr. Colin Laidlow of Moss Lane Garstang is trainer of the club, which had 18 members in its team. So Colin Laidlow coached my dad and his brother, and now my dad coaches me. Là, il avait le petit bouc.
I think just genetically, we all have a kind of a base endurance and strength, and I think also a very strong work ethic. So I think Sam was able to kind of marry those things very early on. So when he was really little, I'd say he was always kind of up there because he was fitter and quite strong. But there was often be one or two guys that were quicker than him, even when he was very little. So I think again that was quite a good natural thing for him to always have somebody that was slightly better than him. So I think that in a sense that motivated him to always try and have somebody to beat. And then obviously once you get to a certain age, it kind of evens out.
My parents never forced me to become a triathlete. Quite the opposite. I did a lot of judo, a lot of handball, a lot of rugby when I was younger. But I always had a dream of winning Kona, and that was what I used to watch when I was a kid. That was really what got my blood going, you know. And I think it's just, yeah, I was lucky enough to know from a very young age what I wanted.
C'était le seul Benjamin qui avait un plateau de 55-11. Non, c'est pas vrai, mais il est monstrueux à vélo.
Sam, when he was small, he was sort of a bit chunky. He was a bit big. I think there's some photos of him when you see him finishing. I think it was 8th or 9th in one of his first triathlons. So the potential physically, I wouldn't say, you didn't see it straight away and you thought, wow, world champion. But what you could see is he knew what he wanted to do.
Et moi, quand je l'ai vu en section, nous on était plus sur des championnats de France jeunes, donc sur des distances soit semi-sprint, soit sprint. Voilà, lui il a toujours eu envie d'aller toujours plus loin. Il avait cette force, cette caractéristique qui fait que il allait au bout de ce qu'il voulait faire, lui, dans son idée, et puis voilà, il a jamais lâché voilà, les idées qu'il avait.
Here we're at Richard Michel's house, so they used to organise training camps. So that's how I came here as a cyclist, came here for the training camp. So Sam has always been surrounded by athletes, by triathletes. It's something he's always wanted to do. I mean, surrounded by people all year round. You have people from South Africa, Australia, the Middle East, South America coming here to train.
Yeah, and it's the World Ironman Champs, and I've dedicated my life, yeah, apart from the first 4 years when I was a baby, but I've dedicated my life to achieving that goal, and I'll keep trying. And I think that's what I want to show in this documenting that we're doing. It's maybe I make it, maybe I don't, but I will try my hardest and yeah, just show that it's not an easy road. You know, it's there was going to be a lot of failures, probably a lot more than there will be successes, but that's just life. And yeah, I'll keep trying and keep proving people wrong, I guess.
Sam, il est très pro dans sa démarche, il a un panel, grâce à Richard notamment, qui lui permet de savoir ce qu'il faut vraiment bosser spécifiquement pour lui.
So my dad, who's also my coach, is very unique, very kind, I would say. If there was one word to describe him, it would be kind.
You're smart.
And he's about to help me with my normally when it's in semi-automatic,
He won't go there.
Yeah.
No, but it's not. It's tailoring. It's connected now. Now you could try it.
He's somebody who's devoted his own life to other people's projects, and especially his family. Like he would give anything. You know, he would die tomorrow for me to achieve what I want.
I mean, the force of the Team Laidlow, yeah, it's close knit, and I think that gives us a lot of actual support. We're here to actually help each other, and you see all of sort of the best athletes in the world, and no matter what, they have a huge support behind them. I think that's what lacks in a lot of other athletes. Yeah, they don't have that same support. They're coached by themselves, and I think Arthur is a prime example. He's come into the family and come into the house and has progressed massively because we have this close-knit support all around from every aspect.
J'ai l'impression qu'on a plus ou moins besoin de bosser les mêmes choses pour être tous les deux performants sur Ironman, et chez nous ça marche bien parce que, comme je te dis, on le fait de manière très pro, très carré, mais bon, tout en prenant du plaisir à le faire.
On rattrape le boulot. We are the champions. Si toi aussi tu veux des pecs énormes comme Sam Laidlow. Ça va quoi ça là?
Je sais pas, ça faire du mal, ça faire du mal.
It's not just me that's coaching, we work together. I'm here to help him. He understands the sport very, very, very well. He knows what he needs to be the best in the world. We'll sit down and talk together and sort of go through different things. And then we sort of arrange training around that.
Then run off the bike, you say, if you feel alright.
Evening, I think.
Okay.
I think my stomach, I don't want to do
too much.
But like too much in one go.
Yeah.
So I just get dehydrated and I've got the morning off anyway on Wednesday.
Sometimes the difficult part with Sam is sometimes he questions what you're doing. Because he wants the best. Like anybody who's always searching to be the best, you're always questioning what you're doing. Is that the right thing to do? Is that the right thing to do? And from my perspective, that's relatively the hard part of coaching. But outside of that, no, he's quite easy to coach.
On parle de Richard et on parle de Sam, mais on parle aussi de Michel qui fait un travail en amont en cachette vraiment exceptionnel, quoi. Et du coup, en fait, je ne vois pas que les deux. En fait, je vois vraiment les trois, même avec Jake qui apporte son côté petit frère, quoi.
They have a very great relationship with my mum. I think my mum is really the rock of the family. My dad can be much more up and down in his moods, and neither of the two would work how they work without each other. They're a very, very good team.
Vraiment, je trouve qu'ils ont trouvé un équilibre. Donc du coup, ils sont soudés, ça se voit. Enfin, ça se voit.
Je la voyais encore le mercredi en train d'attendre avec son livre, aller à Saint-Cyp, il y a 50 bornes. L'amener là-bas, attendre 3 heures d'entraînement.
My mum doesn't at all come from a triathlon background. She comes from an art and design and textile background, and I think I relate much more to my mum. I'm much more like my mum. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm closer to her, I'm just more like her. My brother is more like my dad. She decided to follow basically what my dad wanted to do, and so she left her job in art and design and followed my dad to France. And she basically then decided to dedicate her life to her family, even though she had that mindset of achieving very high goals in whatever it is she does, and I have that same mindset. But the difference is with me is that I have a supportive family, and I don't think she necessarily had that.
I think there has to be someone who's kind of the sort of strategic rock of that, maybe even the mental rock as well. So just making sure that really everybody is, I kind of think, as kind of grounded and as happy and as calm as they can be, given the quite unusual circumstances we live in. So I'm kind of a bit of a mother hen in the fact that I'll cluck around making sure everybody, is kind of all right and safe and happy and fed well, and that the planning's done and that all the admin's kind of taken care of, yeah.
She's the rock. She's the rock of the family. She's the one, if you need anything doing, we go to Michelle. If there's an issue, if there's a question, there's anything else like that, then it's what I call her the boss, because really she is the boss.
We call her the rock because not because she looks like Dwayne Johnson, but because she really keeps the family together and the whole ecosystem running.
It's a trail race. There's 2 distance. I'm doing the 10K. Sam's doing the 10K with me, I think. And there's also a 22K, which Sam did last year. He got smashed.
I'm trying to get back to training, so I won't do the actual race. I'll follow Jake. Although maybe I might underestimate that a bit. We'll just let this kid go past. Yeah, and I'm going to push Jake and say, come on, Jake. And my girlfriend's dressed up as a cheerleader as well, so it's going to be a fun day.
I think Jake gives to Sam a kind of a more natural, carefree sense. Jake is much more, because he's a second child, so it's a classic. Sam's the first child, you know, much sort of stricter, harder working in theory. Whereas Jake's much more relaxed and carefree, and he just goes with the flow, doesn't ask too many questions.
They're completely different personalities, which is really interesting. Sam is very much like Michelle, and Jake is very much like me.
And then I left home when he was 3, so he was still really a baby. And then when I moved back home when I was 19, that's when I really got to know him. And at first it was difficult. I was very strict on him and just not very nice brother. I think I was actually, deep down, I was jealous of how confident he was as a human. And that's actually what I learned a lot from him, is how, yeah, I was just basically jealous of his confidence. And I was like, oh, well, surely if he's that confident, then I can be, you know. And so I think I definitely learned from him, and I think that's quite unique as well, is to learn from your younger sibling.
Beast mode activated by Jake.
He's obviously learning and seeing what Sam is doing and enjoying what Sam is doing, so therefore I think he's a very big influence on what's on Jake in a positive way. But again, it's sort of, at the end of the day, it's up to Jake what he wants to do. We're not pushing him into something. He thinks that he wants to go down that line. He thinks the best way for him to go as he's getting older. So yeah, he's sort of carrying a lot of influence from Sam, because obviously Sam has led his own way into the sport, and Jake will do the same sort of thing. He's sort of, I'm going to go down this route. I don't care what other people say.
I think for Sam, just almost having a little brother that he has to show something to, prove something to, give him an example to follow. I think that's kind of important for Sam as well, that he's something for his little brother. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know any other. There are other families in the sport, but there are like dads that coach their son or daughter, or whatever. But for the whole family to be involved like ours, for the whole family to be that invested is really unique. And although from the outside it seems like I have everything to achieve, which is true, it's also very difficult to sustain that environment and to keep that ecosystem. But we really work together as a team, and it takes work, to keep that running. People don't realize. And so yes, maybe I don't have the struggles of somebody who's hasn't got a supportive family, but we have our own struggles. And I said that my mum before is the one holding it all together, but at the end of the day, it's because I believe in the project, and I can choose pretty much any coach or any environment I want. I could go wherever I want with whichever squad, but I've chosen to do it with my family, and yeah, so I give myself credit for a lot of that, and sometimes I feel people don't realise that.
for his age. Sam is very experienced already and very focused and very professional with a complete plan in his mind. And he was also, we did a test one day longer than with the other athletes, because he would like to test so much, he would like to know so much, and he would make sure he has the best material for next year.
Le fait que ce soit un jeune athlète sur Ironman, finalement ça coupe pas les rues. Et puis Sam, c'est quelqu'un qui se démarque, mais de manière naturelle en fait, et je pense que ça fait aussi une différence. C'est pas l'athlète stéréotypé de l'Ironman, tout lisse, tout va bien, non. Sam, c'est un caractère, comme ils disent un peu en anglais, quoi. Et du coup, je pense que pour les marques, c'est aussi un atout, quoi.
Il a ce côté rock'n'roll ou très anglo-saxon.
You can write some Go Frodo signs or just get an autograph from me because I'm way better than Frodo. You can do some wishes for Frodo. Who is this Frodo guy?
Et on ressent très bien, il est un peu punk hein, dans ses attitudes, et on adore ça.
Caractère bien trempé, qui pouvait lui servir comme lui desservir, hein, parce que on ne se fait pas tout le temps des amis quand on dit ce qu'on pense. Hein. Quand on annonce des choses et que les gens nous regardent, nous prennent un petit peu pour un extraterrestre, voilà, c'est pas des choses qui jouent tout le temps en notre faveur. Mais moi j'aime bien, c'est le caractère des champions, c'est tout en restant correct dans la provocation, on dira, mais ce qui permet aussi d'aller au bout des choses et de réaliser ce qu'on a envie de faire.
C'est quelqu'un qui tout de suite, de l'attitude, qui est très jeune et qui, malgré sa jeunesse, a un vrai profond respect dans l'attitude, dans les engagements. Donc ça sans en faire des caisses, voilà, il est naturellement loyal. Je pense qu'il est un garçon très éduqué.
I think Canyon is a very young company, and Sam is a very young athlete. They are both very interesting to improve, to go faster and faster, to develop the material, to develop together, to think new ways, to go new ways, and to create also the future in triathlon material.
Il amène un truc en ce moment très inspirant, quoi. Moi, pourtant, il est plus petit que moi, mais je le considère comme mon grand frère, quoi. Donc, c'est vraiment un truc. Il inspire une force, une énergie, quoi. Il n'y a pas vraiment de qualité. Il impose quelque chose. Voilà, il a quelque chose de. On a envie de le suivre, quitte à ce que ça nous coûte très cher, mais on a envie d'y aller, quoi.
C'est obligé qu'il y ait du résultat. Tout l'investissement qu'il a fait, parce que attends, quand tu fais des sorties de 5 heures, 6 heures, 7 heures par tout le temps, il faut avoir le mental. Hein. Et puis il voulait être champion du monde.
C'est un gros bosseur. Ce qui se met à l'entraînement, il n'y a personne qui se le fait. L'investissement qu'il a, il n'y a personne qui est capable, je pense, de le faire autant et aussi bien qu'il le fait lui avec son père et sa famille. J'en ramène à la famille encore une fois, mais enfin, c'est toute la famille, c'est un projet familial comme on dit. Mais ouais, t'as un gros mental, énormément d'envie et c'est un très gros bosseur. Il fera toujours ce qu'il faut pour réussir.
This is not even under tension. Look. That's better. And again. Thank you. Straighten your arms out, Marcia. Like conjoined twins.
So my current season has been extremely hard.
It's been really quite mixed. We've had some really good moments, we've had some really good training, and then we've had some real sort of unlucky areas.
It's funny because the things that I thought would be difficult to cope with, like the pressure from sponsors and this and that, is not really what affected me. One of the hardest things for me is, so leading into Kona last year, I met Flo, my girlfriend, and that was, I think that's one of the reasons that I had such a good performance, is because I was in a really happy place. And then this is the first year where I've actually dedicated myself also to trying to be a partner. Before I was just too selfish and didn't feel the need to. I think what's been tough is on the one hand being in that prime year where everybody expects you to suddenly win everything, and then on the other hand also trying to build this new life with your girlfriend, and for your girlfriend to integrate such a strong family. It's been very difficult for her, very difficult for me, and yeah, so that's been part of the struggle has been that.
Beginning of the year, going out to Gran Canaria, had a great race for a half Ironman, which Sam doesn't specialise in at all, to take the win there. Then obviously we were getting ready to do Ironman Lanzarote and then challenge Roth. Ironman Lanzarote, he came down with his liver infection.
Pull it together, Sam, come on.
Also, I've just had quite a lot of bad luck this year, really. But it comes to test me, you know. I think everybody has their share of bad luck. So yeah, I mean, in Lanzarote, I had that liver infection, and then the doubts start to running. Am I actually good at Ironman? And then I just couldn't train because of that liver infection and went to Roth. And because I wasn't fit enough or trained enough, I tore my calf in Roth.
And it's something that he would say, okay, we'd trained hard, we'd worked really hard to get for him getting into that fitness. But if his liver wasn't working, he wasn't absorbing the carbohydrates that he was actually eating, so therefore it wasn't the result we actually wanted. There were some very good signs of that training had been going well. But then again, if your body's ill, then you can't really do anything about it. Obviously that had a knock-on effect within training into Roth. We went into Roth thinking, okay, let's see where he's actually at. We weren't 100% convinced that he was in his best shape because of the liver illness. Sam was very, very underconfident on his cycling. I was quite confident with his cycling where he is at, but I think it was sort of, he tore his calf muscle at 10 kilometers on the run, and I think that was just showing a lack of the actual training, the lack of mileage we'd put into the whole lot of training because of his liver infection. We had to cut training right back down so he could absorb what he was doing.
And then so we got over that quite well.
It healed really quickly. He was going to do some aero testing in Silverstone in the UK. So he said, well, why not try do Challenge London and see what happens? And again, he had a great race.
Congratulations on taking the win here at the first editions of Challenge London.
Did a race in London, won that. Thought I was going back up again, and then went to Singapore to race the best again. And I basically got COVID straight away.
And obviously that's had a knock-on impact for recovery coming back straight from there, because it was only 3 weeks prior to Nice. So it was interesting. We sort of had to get him to recover as quick as he can, and then sort of increase his actual training, and now we're just trying to get him to recover.
It's been, as I said, it's just been quite an unlucky year, but despite that, I'm really happy that I still won both Challenge Gran Canaria and Challenge London. I think people forget that before this year, I'd never won a race, I'd never won a professional race, you know, so there's all this pressure and expectation for me to win the World Champs and for me to win everything, but realistically, I'm going in the right direction, you know. Despite the infection, COVID and calf tear, I still won 2 races, which is which I see, which I'm proud of. You know, it doesn't matter what other people think. You know, I know the struggles that I've been through.
24 ans quoi, 24 ans, vice-champion du monde, record de toutes les épreuves en natte et en vélo, bon encore à pied, mais bon ça va venir ça, mais c'est solide, ça va le faire.
On voit que les records explosent dans tous les sens. Je me souviens, Frédéric Van Lierde m'avait dit quelque chose sur cette génération d'athlètes, il avait dit quand ils arrivent je pars. Et Fred était un athlète juste extraordinaire, extrêmement lucide. Et je pense que voilà, on a vu des Gomez Noya arriver qui n'ont pas performé comme ils auraient dû performer. On voit des Sam Laidlow, c'est là la nouvelle génération. J'ai le sentiment que c'est maintenant. En fait, la vraie nouvelle génération, c'est maintenant. Et je pense qu'il peut devenir une vraie légende du triathlon.
He's just an extremely humble, nice lad you could just talk to quite happily about anything. And physically on the bike, in the swim, he's just an absolute beast. To go out for training sessions with Sam, I mean, it's like, you know, when I see it cycle with Sam, it's like, no, seriously. You know, he's just a really nice bloke and he'll take the time to talk to you. But when he sets his mind on training, it's, yeah.
C'est agréable ça.
La petite arrivée sous la pluie.
Comme on dit chez moi, en promenade. Non, ça allait. 170 bornes.
Sam is a very driven, motivated person who's always had a very big dream and has been able to sort of single-mindedly, I think, pursue that dream.
I think my biggest quality is eating this cake without putting any chocolate on my white t-shirt. I think my biggest quality is to make other people believe in my project and in my dreams. You decide who your team is and you motivate your own team. But like when you're a cyclist or something, like you just have to perform. Like generally the cyclists, it's the guys who are in the best teams win. But in triathlon, when Ironman, you have to create your team. So it's almost like you have to learn like managing skills, you know? And then I would say my other strength is probably, it's just doing my own thing, not worrying about what other people think. I could have very easily gone down a different line if I hadn't questioned everything and wanted to do my own thing. I could have just gone down the short course route and gone into the usual boxes that everybody does, but instead I left it all and stopped studying and asked my dad to coach me. And for 2 years people thought like, what the hell is he doing, you know? And and people just thought I was never going to make it. And so I think just doing my own thing is probably one of my strengths.
I think he will still be at the top, which he is already now. You know, a second place in Hawaii, I would say you're one of the top athletes in the world. I know he has some big goals. He wants to, for example, to win and prove everybody else that second is good, but I can also win races and of course the big races, World Championships.
From a young age, he's always wanted to win the Ironman World Championships, predominantly in Kona, but I think it's a very, very good opportunity for him to show his mentality and his strength here in Nice.
En ce moment là, à vélo, il est intouchable, enfin, il vole en fait.
C'est un gros rouleur et je pense qu'il fait partie des gens qui sont capables de rouler sur du plat et aussi de s'amuser sur du dénivelé. Ouais.
Il a développé vraiment une qualité d'endurance de force propre à ce qu'il faut développer en fait pour l'Ironman. Et je pense que du coup sa plus grande force, elle est là, c'est qu'on est quasiment assuré qu'il peut faire la course quasiment tout le long devant. Donc ça va être assez radical, je pense.
Yeah, Nice is, I really don't know what to expect. As I said, it's not been an ideal preparation and I'm really, really counting on racing with my heart and my emotion because there will be family and close friends that come to watch, which is always an advantage. But yeah, it's difficult. I'm not sure the course suits me as well as Kona, and yeah. But that being said, for me to win here would be something really, really special, you know. And from a national level, it would be huge for France to win this race, and I really hope that happens. Yeah.
Alors en fait, Sam, il est arrivé il y a 3 semaines, il sortait tout juste d'un Covid qu'il a chopé à Singapour. Donc autant dire que c'était pas la grande forme au début. Il lui a fallu quelques jours pour se remettre bien. Et après, en fait, au bout d'une semaine, sur 2-3 journées, il a été super costaud à l'entraînement. Je me suis dit, bon, de toute façon, Sam, c'est bon, quoi. Lui, il a eu peut-être des doutes, mais en fait, il a tellement un niveau de base qui est élevé que dans toutes les conditions, ça revient vite, quoi. Donc non, c'était pas parfait avant, mais comme quoi, c'est souvent quand on va toucher un peu le fond qu'on rebondit le mieux, quoi. Et lui, là, il l'a fait de manière exceptionnelle.
What I didn't want to do is I didn't want to break the bubble that he'd got in. You know, that's so important, and it's something Sam and Richard managed to get. It's to creating that bubble of objective, just keep nobody from the outside comes in. So I sent them a message saying, you know, I'm in Nice, are you about? So yeah, I saw him on the Friday, so what, 48 hours before the race. Saw him, had a quick coffee with him, and yeah, he was relaxed. He's keen to go. I think, you know, when you know you're good, it's hopefully everything, you know, is under control. So yeah, he was good.
I know that I'm not at my fittest, but equally, I've been to World Champs before, quite unfit and come 8th. So it will be exciting, and yeah, my main thing is that I really want to beat Frodeno, like more than anybody, and I hope that brings me wings on race day. But yeah, I think it's just, I need to remember that it is a privilege and not just think about the result and the outcome. At the end of the day, I'm here racing the best guys in the world, and I'm one of the favourites, so I need to appreciate that. You know, that's already a position that a lot of people would like to be in. And yeah, so I guess right now I'm just taking it day by day, and hopefully the body will turn around and feel good on Sunday.
I really feel that Sam's in a very good place. Although he had COVID, you know, 3 weeks ago, I think, you know, in a sense, maybe seeing the positive side of that, it's maybe enabled to him have a little bit more rest. So while he probably thinks he's missed a few key sessions, I think his body's now, you know, fit and healthy, and reasonably rested, you know, and I think he's ready to go. You know, everything's leading in the right direction for me.
T'as vu, ses ailes, elles ressemblent trop aux miennes.
So as you know, he has 2 birds on each of his hands, and I think now he kind of needs to like focus on those, and just remember that they'll give him wings, and I hope that, you know.
Je suis venu chercher la victoire. Voilà, putain, ça c'est beau les gars. Bon, la performance.
He's relaxed, he's sat at home now, just doing final preparations before we put the bike into transition. And yeah, everything is fine. He had a good cycle session this morning, we're quite happy with. It's just now time to make sure any little things are not forgotten, such as getting his nutrition or his hydration perfect. So it's all about the planning and relaxing at the moment. So no, it's all good at the moment.
Whenever it's race morning, I always try to kind of like switch my mindset into, okay, right now I'm just gonna just going to enjoy it. Like, this is what I live for, and like, no matter how tired, it's like I completely eliminate how I feel, and just be confident and calm. I think calm is definitely the overwhelming factor. I feel like this tension around me, but I feel calm. I feel like, I don't know, it's weird, but and it sounds maybe a bit cocky, but I feel like sometimes I feel like I've already won the race. I just feel empowered on race day, and yeah, but it was just another day. I slept badly, my HRV was not very good, so on paper it shouldn't have been a great day, you know, but I just raced with my heart and emotion, and yeah, it got me to where I wanted.
J'ai pas l'habitude de voir ça, j'ai juste l'habitude de le voir en télé, et surtout que c'est la première fois que je vois un championnat du monde. Voir énormément de gros triathlètes avec des grosses performances, et de voir Sam avec mes propres yeux, pas derrière un écran, c'est vrai que ça fait autre chose.
I knew he was going to have a good race, and I knew the possibility of him winning were pretty high. I knew that yesterday, to be honest.
Le cap qui a changé cette année, c'est qu'il le savait, il avait besoin de l'intégrer et de savoir qu'il pouvait gagner.
I'd left my house to go and see Sam on the bike course, which isn't far from mine, you know, to shout some encouragement as he went past. So I was following the live tracker, and it, you know, I thought, you know, he's got 4 minutes ahead when I saw him.
Renaud il est un peu loin derrière, il y a Patrick qui est devant lui. Après Sam il a une belle avance sur Magnus. Et Magnus court pas beaucoup plus vite que lui sur un marathon. Et après il y a Rudy Von Berg qui court un peu plus lent que Sam je pense sur un marathon. Et qui est un peu loin derrière lui, du coup ça sent un peu bien quand même. Il faut juste faire gaffe de Patrick.
Come on, Sam, keep it relaxed. 5:45 up. Come on, bring it on. Well done. Keep it control.
Quand je vois une course comme à Kona où la différence se fait en fin de course, peut-être que d'être vraiment porté tout le long de la promenade des Anglais par un public du coup acquis à sa cause, peut-être que ça peut faire la différence.
I think it's a big favour. I think it's good for Sam to have that support. Any home crowd is really, really good. The pressure that's on him, put on him because he's in the home crowd, I think he's been sort of eased off a little bit. But I think sort of the crowd getting behind him, especially on the run course, will be incredible.
I think he wants to do well because he is, you know, it's France that has kind of got him to where he is. You know, it's living in France that's made him the athlete that he is today. And I think knowing Sam, he'll kind of want to give a bit back to France, you know, and in the sense, you know, bring it home for France. You know.
So went down to town, saw one of his best mates, Teal, Etienne, was supporting Sam at the turn point, and it's like, wow, Sam is, you know, I've even got goosebumps now talking about it. It's like, wow, we can really do something.
Et puis après, tu es dans l'euphorie, tu vois, tu vas l'encourager, tu le suis à des endroits, et tu es tellement dans l'effervescence dans la course que tu le vis de l'intérieur, tu as l'impression de faire la course aussi avec lui, quoi. C'est un vrai moment de partage et d'émotion.
Et c'est peut-être ce qui lui a donné cette petite force qui a fait qu'il s'est dit ce jour-là, il ne faut pas que je lâche pour eux. Et ça transcende une personne, je pense, sur une course. Même si on n'est pas bien, on pense à tout ça, on pense à tous ces efforts, on pense à tout le soutien qu'on peut avoir. Et que ce soit la famille, que ce soit les copains, mais que ce soit aussi le public français qui était là ce jour-là. Et se dire qu'on peut être le premier Français à remporter le championnat du monde à domicile, c'est quelque chose qui peut porter une personne, même dans les moments les plus durs, on dira, de ces épreuves qui sont quand même pas si faciles que ça.
Yeah, nice. Come on, keep it going. Well done. Come on, keep it going. Looking good. Keep relaxed. Come on, push, 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 push. Come on, keep going, keep going. Looking good. Come on, Sam, restarting, come on.
Il était déjà rentré dans l'histoire, Sam Laidlow. Mais là, ce qu'il va faire, c'est tout simplement colossal. Il est champion du monde de triathlon Ironman. Sam Laidlow pour la France. C'est un exploit historique.
Jake, we did it!
Originally the crowds were like, oh, he's just putting on a show and he's probably going to explode and it doesn't matter, he still would have had a good race. And then as the laps went on, they kind of realised, and then they were just getting more and more. And the last straight, like my ears were just killing me, like really, really bad. Yeah, it was. I've never felt anything like that, you know. I wasn't sure that I'd won until literally the last finishing straight, because even though he was like over a kilometre behind Patrick, but I was never sure, because I could cramp, you know, you see these videos of Ironman just like completely collapsing because they're out of energy, and it's so hard in that moment that you don't know if your body's just going to switch off and say no. So I wasn't sure until the final finishing straight.
Et à chaque fois que je le croisais, je l'encourageais du coup, et quand je l'ai croisé la dernière fois, j'ai compris quoi. C'était dans la boîte quoi.
So obviously, as you saw, I did this bird thing because my mum, about a week ago, she said, remember that you've got wings and that sometimes you can use them. And yeah, so far, I mean, both last year and this year at the World Champs, I clearly did use them wings, and but yeah, the main feeling I had at the finish line was not believing it. You know, it's something that I've pictured so many times in my life, not whilst sleeping or anything, but just like, I'm not somebody who dreams at night. I never remember my dreams at night, but I dream at day, and I've envisioned exactly that so many times, and there's so many small things that I envisioned that happened.
Il rend les choses faciles en fait, c'est ça qui est ouf quoi. Il pose encore avec une avance folle, il fait un marathon plus que solide quoi. Et voilà, il est champion du monde quoi.
Je ne sais pas comment le décrire, c'est fantastique voilà. Pour lui, pour sa famille, pour son entourage, pour tous les efforts et tout ce qu'il a pu mettre en place toutes ces années.
Ouais.
Voilà.
J'ai 24 ans, donc c'est toute ma vie.
Ouais.
Toute ma vie, c'est toute la vie de ma famille, toute ma vie. Enfin, tellement de gens ont cru en moi, et je sais pas, les mots aussi. La vérité, c'est que j'y crois pas, quoi. J'y crois vraiment pas.
Quand est-ce que tu as cru sur la course?
Non, mais j'y crois toujours pas maintenant.
On a envie de ça, on a envie d'exploser, on a envie d'avoir des émotions, parce qu'on ne fait pas du sport pour la monnaie, on ne fait pas du sport pour les sponsors, même si c'est des gens aussi qui sont autour de nous, hein, mais on fait ça pour les émotions, quoi. C'est de l'émotion qu'il faut avoir, c'est tout.
Je paye ma tournée à tout le monde.
saw Sam straight away. He was right in the middle of an interview, took the time out, just a massive hug and said, you know, bro, we did it. We really did it. Saw Richard, saw Jake, and it was just like, geez, hugs all round, and you know, sweaty hugs all round, you know. it was nuts. He did it at home in Nice against the world's best triathletes. I mean, what more can you ask when you're 24?
Il a créé un déclic, je pense, pour le triathlon français, ouais. Première victoire française. Il fallait qu'il y en ait un premier. Il a marqué le sport français. Ça, c'est une certitude.
Yeah, I think this will be a big moment, I think, for French sport. Well, French triathlon, I should say. When I was growing up, the main triathlon idols all did short course and Olympic distance racing. And so as a kid, that's naturally what you aspirated to. But now I think there'll be a whole generation of people that will look at not just my performance, but Clément's and Léon's and Arthur's, and realise that actually it's possible to be young and to do long distance, you know. But at the end of the day, I just want kids to do whatever they really want, you know, whether it's triathlon or ice hockey or whatever. I just want them to believe whatever they believe. If it's that they want to become an astronaut, then let them become an astronaut.
Franchement, quand il a passé la ligne, la première pensée que j'ai eue, c'est pour ses parents. Sans ses parents, enfin, pour être un champion, il faut un environnement qu'il a, quoi. Mieux, tu peux pas avoir.
Bravo Jake! Je verrai dans 9 ans où je serai. J'espère que je serai au même niveau, mais bon, on verra bien. Ça va pas être facile. Hein. Il a bien mis la barre, je pense.
C'est jamais évident de dire il sera champion du monde. Après, on peut toujours y croire, ça c'est sûr. Si on n'y croit pas, on n'y arrive pas. Donc voilà, là maintenant il est champion du monde, c'est la plus belle des choses qui pouvait y arriver.
How many beers we will drink? Well, it's not that I shouldn't say that on the camera. I think there is a time for celebration, you know, definitely. I myself, when I was an athlete, I was really serious, and as Sam is as well, very serious for preparation, training, racing. But when it comes to celebrating, I think that's so important. You know, I think you need to enjoy your wins. When you win, you should go all in and really enjoy it. So I think to have a number on the beers, it's very hard to say, but it will be lots, and the next day will not be nice.
Cheers, everyone.
Sam, depuis que je le connais, il rêve de ça, et là il l'a accompli quoi, à 24 ans. Donc c'est juste fou quoi. Moi je vais m'entraîner avec le champion du monde, tu vois, maintenant. C'est quand même cool sur un CV.
I'm incredibly proud of what he's done. And he doesn't like people saying, you know, you're brilliant, well done and all that, you know, it's just down to work, get on with it. But if I could, and I won't because I know how he is, I'm incredibly proud of him.
Je sais qu'à une période, il n'y croyait plus et que là, on allait à un niveau que même moi, j'imaginais pas. Je lui souhaitais, mais je me suis dit quand même, le garçon, il est beaucoup trop ambitieux et j'ai encore fermé bien ma bouche, quoi. Et j'ai envie que ça soit encore plus, quoi.
He could be very positive about his future and hope he will improve. And also develop as not only as an athlete, also as a human. And I will see him also for the next 5 to 8 years in the absolute world class.
Merci. Je pense, ouais, un mot, ça suffit, ouais. Merci de faire vivre tout ça. Tu m'as pas déçu.
Il a bien fait de croire en ses rêves, d'aller au bout des choses et que voilà, on l'aime. On l'aime.
This is the box that I kept the paper and the deal I made with myself to to become world champ. Yeah, I haven't seen it since like at least 2 or 3 years. We have a nice quote here. It says, "A goal without a plan is just a dream." Yeah, here we've got, I guess, everything that I needed to do a sub 8-hour Ironman, which was my first goal when I was 20. I failed that goal. I did 8 hours and 4 minutes. But yeah, it comes down to things like physical training, weekly family meetings, life balance, mental training, pace and wattage strategy, race gear setup, nutrition plan. And then yeah, this is the one I keep referring to. It says 2023 win Kona. Of course, this was back when we didn't think Kona would be changed, and before COVID and etc. And the 1-year plan was to get to Kona basically. So in 2020 I wanted to try and qualify for Kona, but it got cancelled. And then my goal in 2021 was to be top 10. That ended up being in St. George, and I came 8th there. And then last year the goal was to podium basically, which happened. And then funny enough, I mean, I won on the year 2023, and it even's got a little arrow towards 23 saying that it's my dad's and mine's lucky number. Yeah, we're both born on the 23rd, and just lots of things around our life evolve around the 23rd. So, and it says at the bottom, learn to appreciate this journey and the lifestyle it brings. Yeah, and then there's the 3 different stats to what it takes to what I wanted to achieve. So swim at 110 per 100 meters. I'm not quite there yet. Ride at 320 watts, which I did achieve, and run a 240 marathon, and yeah, I ran a 241, so pretty close. Yeah, it was all planned. Bon, il y a une interview là en fait. Regarde, ils sont nuls.
Je peux pas mettre ça sur YouTube.
Et genre moi je fais, oh je t'avais pas vu. Oh je t'avais pas vu là.
Non.
Tip number 1, don't eat too much ice cream.
I don't know where the fuck my pedals are. Bitch, go and get my pedals, y'all. C'est nul ça toi. C'est pour ça que j'ai pas de volet. I'm back from the dead, ready to conquer my next Ironman.